TT Combat has been producing reasonably priced MDF scenery for many years now. Here's a few pieces of their 10mm sci-fi range that I've painted up. Now they're throwing their hat into the ring with some pre-coloured MDF scenery. So let's see what it's like. So this is quite a hefty piece of kit. You can see we've got about 20 or so boards here. And from the illustration on the front, you can see that this is going to make quite a sizable piece of terrain. I imagine that this is going to dominate a 3-foot by 3-foot mat, and I'll show you how that looks once I put it all together later on. I'm also going to do a comparison with some of the other coloured MDF kits on the market, such as the stuff from E-Raptor and War Cradle, and I'll also show you a comparison with the coloured card terrain from Battle Systems, which is great. So let's get it open. You can see straight away with this first tile just how vibrant the colours are. I went for the yellow because I wanted it to really pop on a variety of different mats. And the colours there, let's bring that a bit close to the screen. You can see that they're very bright and there's some really nice detail. You've got sort of this hatching, a few markings. It's really nicely degraded. This will be perfect for games like Zone Wars, which I love to play, and anybody who's into Necromunda or any kind of near future. So you've got the plain MDF obviously on that side, but some really nice colouring there. This second sheet, again, the colours there are much darker, but again, they really do pop. I like that. There's some nice detail. More of this corroded yellow. I can imagine this is some sort of industrial facility that's fallen into disrepair. Could be on an alien world or some part of Earth that's not faring too well. Oh, now the text here is really nice. I'll just try and catch that for you. You can see it says warning hazard. That's nice. That's the kind of thing where normally in a kit you'd have to try and put transfers on to create that sort of effect. But here a lot of the work is done for you. Very nice. Oh, I like this. Okay, that's a really nice 3D effect that's achieved there with this rotor, this sort of dilapidated cooling fan. That's great. And again, you've got a nice sign here, danger, all the hatching. I can see straight away this is going to be quite a big job to put all of this together, but it really should be worth it afterwards. This does look very cool. Got some bigger pads there. It's nice. Got the kind of archways here. These are a bit 40k, aren't they? I can see how the grimdark could easily happen on this terrain. There is a nice variety of shades as well. This is very sort of metallic, corroded metallic finish. It's nice. But even here you can see the distinct different colours. And I think once you put all of the kit together, although it's all grungy and industrial, it's still going to look interesting on the table. There's no sort of sense that this might come off. It feels quite sturdy. I'm giving it a bit of a scratch with my nail. It's certainly not making any marks. It feels like quite a thick laminate. I've seen TT Combat talk about this and they claim it's very robust. Seems to be the case. Got a whole series of what look like steel girders, something that's going to give the terrain some elevation, which I absolutely love in my terrain. I really like different levels. You can see here one of the larger platforms. Again, it gives you a sense of the scale of this terrain. I do think it's going to be pretty sizable once I put it together, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm about 2 hours in, and so far I've constructed this building and this little platform here. I anticipate things getting a bit quicker from here because the instructions for the build tend to repeat themselves. Each of these corners, for example, is built in exactly the same way. Once you've done the first one, the others are a lot quicker. One tip that I would pass on is that I found it much easier to slot pieces into the lid, into the roof, rather than building this whole frame, for example, and then trying to slot the roof on and get all of these pieces to align here. I found that very tricky. So rather than that, I turned this over and I was slotting pieces into the roof as I went, and then just push this down firmly here to finish it off. I'm going to do the same thing here. You can see how I've got these pieces. I shall put some PVA glue on and click them in here. So I find that slotting things into the roof much easier. And here's the finished kit. I didn't time myself, but I'd say it was about 8 to 10 hours of work. And because I did it gradually over the course of a week, I didn't appreciate quite how much there was. Having laid it all out here now to film, I realised that this really is a lot of scenery. It's also become clear just how versatile this kit is. You can connect the different modules in all sorts of different configurations. All of the bridge sections are detachable, and these two platforms can stack or be taken apart. I did enjoy putting the kit together, but it wasn't always easy. Most of it's really well engineered, but even the tiniest fraction of a millimeter can make the difference between something fitting snugly or being too loose or too tight. So it is worth pointing out that a few times I had to take my pliers and just scrape a few of the joins just so that things would pop in nicely. Obviously, this scenery is perfect for Necromunda. It's called the Wonderhive set after all, but I plan to use it with Zone Wars and Cyberpunk Combat Zone. It could also work as an industrial factory on Mustafar that the plucky rebels are trying to sabotage. I can also see it as the kind of dilapidated sci-fi wasteland where the Veermin might reside. It might even find its way into Trench Crusade or some weird World War II settings such as Conflict 47. I'd like to finish off by comparing this pre-coloured terrain with some of the other scenery that's available on the market. These kits here are from eRaptor. I like both of them. They found lots of use in a variety of different games. They go together quite a bit more easily than the Chroma set from TT Combat. However, the shapes that they form are much more straightforward. When you look at this, there's all sorts of complex ins and outs and little details that are missing in the eRaptor kits. I guess it's kind of give and take. If you want an easier build, the eRaptor is the one to go for. I'd also say that the eRaptor colours are quite a bit more muted. This is really bright, really vivid, and although it's quite hard to see it, the game cave is not as well lit as I would like it to be, the colours here are extremely vivid. They really do pop. Another set that I have in my collection comes from War Cradle Studios. This is good stuff too and very reasonably priced. In terms of complexity, I'd put it somewhere between the eRaptor and the TT Combat Chroma kits. Again though, the colours are much more muted. If that's the kind of look you like on your gaming table, that's absolutely fine. But if you want something that's really bright, then this is a better choice. The final scenery range that I'd like to mention is from Battle Systems, who produced this really excellent coloured card. In terms of modularity, of course, this can't be beaten because you can take it apart and build pretty much anything you can imagine. In reality, though, I don't do that. I build structures that I like and then I tend to keep those because it takes too long to build your buildings every time you want to play a game. In terms of sturdiness, obviously the MDF wins out. It's going to be more sturdy than card. And again, you've got this more subdued color palette. It's not that that looks bad, it's just a bit different. If you really want something that's energetic and going to leap off the table and make you notice it, then to be honest, this Chroma terrain is really hard to beat. TT Combat produce a range of games at both heroic scale and 10mm. So it seems like a dead cert to me that they're going to expand this range and produce more scenery for those scales. In fact, I know that they're going to do some scenery for Battlezone Commander and Strike Team Commander because they showed it off in the Kickstarter. I can only imagine that Drop Zone Commander 10mm scale buildings can't be far behind. And that will be fantastic because I love Drop Zone Commander, but 10mm gaming generally is incredibly popular at the moment. And whether you're playing Legions Imperialis or Armored Clash or Epic Warpath or all sorts of other games, then this stuff could really be good for you too. I received my scenery early because I backed it on the Kickstarter, but I know that it's going on general release in Q4 of this year. And I think it's really worth checking out. The quantity, the quality, and the versatility of this terrain means I'm going to get it to the table regularly. In fact, the only question right now is which game to play first. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. If so, please consider giving it a like or subscribe. I hope to see you again soon. And until then, keep rolling.